we welcome into the program Dave Simon.
Yeah.
If you were a fighter, Dave, what would your theme song be as you head to the cage?
My theme song?
Yeah. What would you use?
Man, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't know. There's a lot of songs I think that I would like to use.
Is there maybe an artist that you'd go to right away?
Probably DMX.
Mm-hmm.
I think DMX is good to come out to. If it's good enough for Anderson Silva, it's good enough for me.
Now,
Rough Riders Anthem, DMX, that'd be pretty good.
In terms of some of these fighters, Dave, while we're on the topic.
Of fighting? Yeah. That's what we usually talk about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anderson Silva, for example, will he come out to the same song every fight? Does he mix it up?
He does.
He does?
Ain't No Sunshine, DMX, always for Anderson Silva.
What about like a GSP?
He usually has a different francophone rap song that he comes out to. Different,
like a Québécois francophone rap song?
Or from France.
Really?
Yeah, he loves French hip-hop, GSP. And he usually comes out to, a French rap song. Not the same one, but different ones every time.
Now, Stefano Macello's in studio. Do I need to preempt this? Is he going to mention Homer Simpson coming out and fighting with
Why
the
Can't
song?
We Be Friends? Yeah. I think that's probably where he's going.
Yeah, I just want to preempt that and sort of one-up him there. But
just got to visualize how you're going to beat him.
In terms of... we'll get to some of the serious topics, but I'm curious. I'm fascinated. Are there any guys that come out to just some fascinating songs and people go, oh, what's he going to come out to this week or this fight?
I mean... entrance songs aren't really big in MMA as they are maybe in pro wrestling. John Jones likes to go out on his Twitter and ask people, what they would like for him to come out to. And he's come out to Bob Marley the past couple times, which has been pretty cool, kind of a laid-back type of feel for the fight, which I like. You have a lot of fighters, picking aggressive songs to kind of get them
Metal
going.
Or something.
But John Jones with a nice Bob Marley, kind of a soothing touch going into the cage, which I like. But... yeah, it's not like a big deal, but definitely people pay attention to who's coming out to what song because it does give you a little bit of an idea on the personality of the fighter, right?
I believe Brock Lesnar, didn't you not come out to Enter Sandman?
Yeah, he came out to a few different songs. I know his UFC debut, he came out to Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue and stuff like that. A lot of people like Eminem. Of course, Tito Ortiz comes out to Mosh by Eminem every time he comes out. It's the same Eminem song. Every MMA show has at least one Eminem song. Eminem is very popular
Even
in
the
MMA.
Brazilian fighters?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see a Brazilian dude come out to, the real Slim Shady or whatever.
All right, Dave, obviously Fox Sports 1, the new channel launching. They're putting a lot of stock in UFC. They're going to push this thing. We have a card coming up.
Yeah, UFC on Fox Sports 1. I think it's called. They're being called Fight Nights now. There was a little confusion, right? It was going to be UFC on Fox Sports 1, but we didn't know the name of the event, as people were starting to call them UFC on Fox Sports 1, UFC on Fox Sports 1, 2, which is just weird. So now they're being called UFC Fight Nights, which is what the TV shows used to be called on Spike TV. So now it's UFC Fight Night 26 is the official name of the card. Mauricio Shogun Rua against Chael Sonnen
and that
in the
covers,
main event.
And when you say 26, that covers Fuel TV, that covers all of them together? Is that how they get to 26?
No, because I think they're just going off the last Fight Nights. So when they were called Fight Nights, it was on Spike TV. So the last one they did on Spike was 25, and the UFC on FX cards are being called UFC on FX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, UFC on Fox 1, 2, 3, 4, in the numbered order, same for Fuel, but because Fox Sports 1 has a number in the channel name, it just sounded awkward, so they went back to the Fight Night name just to avoid confusion.
What's the deal like? How often are they going to be on there?
A lot. There's two scheduled for this month, one on the 17th of August, the other on August 28th. There's going to be another show on Fox Sports 1 September 4th, so expect them to be at least once or twice a month.
All right,
and Wednesday nights as well.
Wednesday?
Yeah. What
do you think of that as a fight night? To sort of differentiate from some of the other sports, I guess?
I think it's interesting. I think it's good. I mean, if we can have a fight night on Wednesday and then a pay-per-view on Saturday, I'm all in. The more fights we can get out there, the better. If the WWE can do, Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Friday, and then a pay-per-view once a month, I think the UFC can do 2 shows a week and then a pay-per-view once a month, too.
So what's the big couple of fights here on this card?
Well, there's Chael Sonnen against Shogun Rua in the main event. You got Alistair Overeem making his return. He'll take on Travis Brown.
Yeah, he's coming off a broken arm, right?
Who is?
Overeem? Wasn't he coming off a...
No, he was knocked out. He was knocked out
right.
unconscious in his last fight by Antonio Bigfoot Silva. It was a fight where you figured the winner would get a title shot, and Bigfoot wound up winning and getting a title shot. Overeem was dominating him throughout the first 2 rounds, but seemed like he took him lightly in the 3rd round and didn't take his punches seriously enough, and he paid the price. Like Joe Rogan said right after that knockout, in the UFC octagon, you have to respect everybody, and I think it was a little bit of a lack of respect that Overeem had for Antonio Silva, and it'll be interesting to see if he's able to rebound here against the younger Travis Brown, who's looked pretty good in his short UFC career.
Who do you have in that one?
Yeah, I mean, Alistair Overeem is going to be the favorite going into it, but I think Travis Brown is poised for an upset. I don't know. I don't like
youth energy here, perhaps.
Yeah, I think there's a changing of the guard happening right now in MMA. You see a lot of the guys that are in their early to mid 30s facing guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s. It's there's a difference between being 35 and being 29, and that difference is starting to be exposed right now.
And to be perfectly honest, if the UFC is going to be on this often on all these different networks, including the pay-per-views, they need some young blood coming in, right?
Yeah, for sure. Travis Brown is a tough guy. He's out of Hawaii but trains in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Greg Jackson. He is one of the main training partners of John Jones, who is one of the best fighters in the world. Jones is a 205er. Travis Brown is a heavyweight, so they really don't have a lot of difference. They're roughly the same size, so Travis Brown is getting in there, getting some good sparring rounds with the best in the world. So he's a guy that's ever improving at a very good camp, training with the very best. Alistair Overeem is training out of this Black Zillions camp out in Florida. They haven't been the most successful. He was on a suspension due to elevated levels of testosterone. Then when he came back after his last fight, he was tested again, and his levels were way under the norm. So he's I don't know. There are things going on within his body that I don't think
almost like he took something really to overcompensate or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder about Alistair Overeem, and I wonder about his long-term success. This is going to be a big, important test for him to see if he's still got what it takes to step up to the top level of the UFC heavyweight division. If he loses, it could be the end of his career. It really could be.
All right, you mentioned Sonnen. He's always a draw. Tell me about that matchup.
Yeah, Chael is fighting at 205 once again. Just came off that loss to John Jones, and he's looking to bounce back, taking on Shogun, who's a former light heavyweight champion. Chael has said a lot of bad things about Brazil and Brazilians in the past, so it's always fun to see Chael against a Brazilian. And this is scheduled for 5 rounds, so it should be interesting to see how long this fight actually goes.
What do you think?
I don't know, man.
You got 2 big guys here. I don't think it goes more than 3, does it?
Yeah, I could see it going more than 3. I mean, I could see Chael out-wrestling Shogun and keeping him grounded for the majority of the fight and maybe winning like that on points. I think Chael's going to use his wrestling and try to keep Shogun grounded. I don't think he's going to want to stand and trade with Shogun. Shogun's an excellent striker, very dangerous guy. I think that Chael would be smart to take the fight to the ground, and I think he can push it to the limit. I think if it goes under 3 rounds, it's going to mean Shogun knocked out Chael Sonnen. But if it goes, over 3 rounds, I think it's going to be a Sonnen victory. It's an interesting fight. I like it.
That's a cool nickname, Shogun. I like that. Can you start calling me Shogun, Stefano, maybe?
I wouldn't want to disrespect Mauricio Rua.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got to earn that name.
All right. Where's that come from? Shogun. I like that.
Sounds to be a cool car name.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's what I was thinking, the Toyota Shogun. I like it. It probably doesn't fly with the whole, gun stuff and all that. But, all right. All right, so any other...
I guess not.
Maybe under-the-radar fights that you're looking forward to on this card?
I mean, there are so many fights on this card that are exciting. You have Brad Pickett taking on Michael McDonald at bantamweight. This is on the undercard. Brad Pickett is a former #1 contender at bantamweight. He just came off a title fight with Henan Barao. He came off main eventing a card and is now on the prelim card, taking on Brad Pickett, another very tough bantamweight. So this card is just so stacked that even fights on the preliminary card are very, very good. You've got Boston's own Joe Lozon, as this is taking place at the TD Garden there in Boston. So Joe Lozon going to get a lot of love in his hometown, taking on Michael Johnson. Matt Brown versus Mike Pyle is a sick welterweight fight. Uriah Faber back in action, taking on Yuri Alcantara. That's a really good one. And Conor McGregor, a guy that made a lot of noise in his first UFC fight. He is a top prospect out of Ireland. A lot of people talking about Conor McGregor as the next big thing at featherweight. So it should be interesting to see in his second fight in the UFC how he fares against Max Holloway. So that's a good one. And they seem to like Irish people out there in Boston, big Irish population. So McGregor should be real comfortable there.
All right, there you go. Ringside Report Radio, Wednesdays and Fridays here on TSN 690. RingsideReport.net is the website. And Dave Simon MMA on Twitter. Thanks so much, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Wrestling Uncensored tonight after baseball.